Hello, guys. Hello. Um, welcome, welcome. First and foremost, I want to say a huge welcome to everybody who has managed to attend today. This is our first ever TAMS Talk, episode 1. As you can see, I'm excited. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kareem. I am the TAMS Network Director, and I am also a third-year medical student at King's College London. So just to explain a bit about how today is going to work. Effectively, we've got two groups of people watching today. So we've got our TAMS members who are locked in inside. In fact, we encourage you to ask questions throughout the call. And we also have our viewers who are watching through YouTube as we live stream this. So you guys are also encouraged to ask questions throughout the call. Via the comment section, and we will make sure that the speaker answers as many questions as possible at the end of the call. So quickly, I'll just introduce TAMS, let everybody know exactly who we are, what we're about, and I guess how TAMS Talks came about or into existence. So yes, like I said, today is the first ever episode of TAMS Talks. And who is TAMS? What are TAMS? So TAMS stands for the Aspiring Medic Support. And we are a registered community interest company based in London, founded by medical students for medical students. That's it, by medical students for medical students. Our mission as an organization is to support aspiring and current medical students from the City of London and from socio-economically disadvantaged backgrounds. We provide students with the necessary tools to support their career aspirations and career progression. So we have a whole range of methods that we use to do this, including mentorship, workshops, and online resources, such as today. We aim to equip these students to overcome the various obstacles that are unique to their lived experiences and also that are unique to our lived experiences as well. So what's TAMS Talks? As a widening participation company, our work doesn't end with just getting students into medicine. We also have to support our students once they're inside. And many of us know that there is an attainment gap within medicine, so that Black, Asian, and other ethnic minorities are achieving less than their white counterparts. So TAMS Talks emerged as a way for us to assist in the professional development of our members and also to support other students and aspiring medics to try and close the attainment gap. So, like I said beforehand, if you have any questions at all that you want to ask to our speaker throughout the talk today, the presentation, just drop them into the comments if you're watching via YouTube, or if you're a TAMS member and you're watching via the Zoom, then just drop them into the chat. So, without further ado, I'm going to introduce our speaker for today's first ever TAMS talk. As it's the first talk, it was only right that we started at the beginning. And I want to introduce my friend Jacob. Now, Jacob is a final year medical student at Keele University with a passion for driving change in so many different ways. He is definitely no stranger to the challenges of time management, as he holds several leadership positions in both national and international organizations, along with serving as the founder and director of TAMS, the Aspiring Medic Support. He sits as an executive member on a medical school committee for the British Medical Association as the deputy chair. I'll read it again. He sits as an executive member on the medical school committee for the British Medical Association as the deputy chair. He also works as a European region director for the International Working Group for Health System Strengthening. Additionally, whilst balancing his studies, he has worked closely with various other organizations such as the Healthcare Leadership Academy, Human Fertilization Embryology Authority, and Christian Medical Fellowship. I am honored and excited and so happy to introduce my colleague and my friend, Jacob Oguntimin.
Wow. Wow, thank you so much for that introduction, Kareem. Thank you so much. I just want to say a massive thank you to all of the TAMS community. Firstly, it is an honor to be speaking you in this fashion. It's an honor to be opening up the first TAMS Talk, and every opportunity to serve in the equipping of my colleagues and my friends is something that I do not take for granted. And I just want to say a massive thank you to anyone who's also watching via YouTube. I want to say a massive shout out to our partnering organizations, to our key stakeholders, as well as our donators. We just want to thank you for how you've partnered with our vision and partnered with our drive for change in the City of London and beyond. So it is an amazing opportunity to be here, and I'm just going to go straight into the first question of the TAMS Talk. The first question of the TAMS Talk, which is, how do I manage my time at medical school? How do I manage my time at medical school? So the way these questions get generated is simply, like Kareem said, we are a body made by medical students for medical students. So everything that we do is student-led. And when we decided to come up with a concept that's going to address the attainment gap that we have seen for many decades, we decided that we needed to generate themes which we felt are not adequately discussed within the core curriculum. And a recurrent theme that occurred once I started speaking with various medical students, both within our community and beyond, was the difficulty of managing time, the difficulty of managing one's time when they reach medical school. So I hope to address this question via my experiences. Kareem gave a very generous introduction. So I hope to explore some reflections and some lessons that I've learned in my experiences of the challenges and the practicalities of being able to effectively manage your time at medical school. So let's get straight into it. So medical school is a challenging time. Medical school is a challenging time, and I know each and every one of us can relate to this photo here. I know each and every one of us can relate to the times where we find ourselves constantly overwhelmed with regards to the challenges of medical school. I know each and every one of us can relate to coming into medical school and experiencing the emotional challenges and the academic challenges. I remember personally looking back at my time in medical school so far, and I remember starting first year and feeling completely overwhelmed at the lack of past papers, at the lack of clear specifications, and completely overwhelmed as to how I go about managing a fruitful academic life, as well as extracurricular life and other social aspects of my life as well. And within the TAMS community, we have various individuals from various different backgrounds and various different interests. And I know many of us have struggled at different points of medical school, feeling very overwhelmed as to how we can, pursue academic excellence as well as still, have fruitful extracurricular lives. And I hope to address why perhaps we have struggled with time management. And I hope to really bring in some words of wisdom and some nuggets as to how we can become better at managing our time at medical school. So let's get straight into it. So time management is something that has constantly come up in various conversations with medical students, various conversations, and this is why we felt it was very important to make this series public and open to people who are outside of our community, because time management is something that is not only essential in medical school, but is essential really for your success in life, And not only am I going to be talking today about time management, but I'm going to be talking about effective time management. And you will see that there is a lot of similarities with regards to how we spend money and, and how we spend time. You can spend money wisely and you can spend money unwisely. Same way you can manage your time effectively and you can manage your time ineffectively. And, it's quite funny that you're here giving me your time to hear about how you can use your time better. Isn't that quite ironic? And I hope that this will be an effective use of your time. I hope that I'll be able to really just kind of explore with regards to what are the underpinnings and underlying factors which drive perhaps why sometimes we can be ineffective in our usage of time. So not only am I talking about time management today, I'm talking about effective time management, and that's very, very key. So as medical students, we are living in a time filled with distractions, filled with so many distractions. You know, never has there been a time where medical students are studying in an age whereby we have so much access to technology at our fingertips. You know, it will be a lie for us to say that every day is as productive as we would like it to be. You know, there will be days where you say, you know, I'm going to cover 10 lectures today. You know, I'm going to cover 10 conditions today. And then you find that you ended up covering 10 episodes on Netflix. You know, we are in a time where we are filled with so much distractions, filled with so much other things that we can fill our time with, you know, and it's really, really important that we hone in on the nuances of being able to effectively manage our time. And that's what really I'm going to be exploring today. So I am going to be using a framework which I like to call the 2 V's of effective time management. The 2 V's of effective time management. If I was in a hall, I'll tell you all to say, ooh, the 2 V's of effective time management. And what are those 2 V's? So vision and values. Vision and values. These are the 2 V's which I believe are key with regards to promoting effective time management. And I think it is a lack of these 2 V's that really are driving as to why we may find that we are overwhelmed, why we are burnt out, why we find that we are constantly chasing after time rather than managing our time effectively. And hopefully one of these 2 V's will resound with you, if not both of them. So let's talk about the first V. Let's talk about the first V, and that is vision. And that is vision. So the first V of effective time management is with regards to the person you wish to become through achieving the things you wish to do. If you're making notes, your vision is the person you wish to become through achieving the things you wish to do. And that is the vision that you have for your life. And I would argue that a lot of medical students, sadly, we lack vision. A lot of medical students, sadly, we lack an idea and a picture and a goal. And I want you to think about that for a second, you know, because by definition, that will effectively mean that time management is always going to be subjective. If truly time management and effective time management is rooted in your vision, then that means by definition, you know, time management is going to differ between each and every person. And, you know, at TAMS community, we are privileged to have various individuals who are aspiring to various different positions. You know, we have aspiring athletes, aspiring sports medics, aspiring cardiologists, aspiring psychiatrists, pediatricians, a variety. And that means your time management and your effective time management is going to look completely different from the person that is next to you. So I want you to think about that for a second with regards to your vision. If you do have a vision, you know, what would you say your vision is? Where would you say that you're trying to get to? Why would you say you're even at medical school? What is it that you're even trying to achieve? And if you haven't thought about these questions, then this could be an underlying reason as to why you are perhaps struggling to manage your time. Because if you're unaware of the goal, how can you begin to navigate the journey? If you're unaware of the destination, how can you begin to navigate the path? And those are just some nuggets with regards to the first V. So let's go into the second V, values. Values. So values with regards to time management means the things that are important to you, the things that are important to you. And I believe, once again, this second V strengthens my argument that time management is always going to be subjective to your experience. Time management is always going to be subjective to you as a person. And like I said, we have various different individuals in our community of various different makeups. And what matters to you is going to be very different from what matters to the next person. For one person, you know, acquiring every single distinction point like it's Mario coins is going to be the most important thing to them. Whereas another person, you know, is going to be having a fruitful academic life or a fruitful extracurricular life. Or for another person, it may be nothing to do with medicine at all. It may be, you know, your faith, it may be, you know, families, it may be friends. So what is it that really matters to you? What is it that you prioritize? And I think that we lack sometimes an understanding of our values. And I'll give a quick analogy. Like I said at the beginning, the way you spend your money can often, you know, there can often be similarities and differences with regards to spending money and spending your time. And I'd like to give you a scenario. For example, you know, you have a young man who who says he wants to buy a jacket. He says, it's getting to October now, and it's getting really, really cold. It's getting really, really cold, and I need to go buy myself a coat. So what does he do? He's on his way to Westfield. And he's saying, I'm going to go get myself a jacket because it's getting really, really cold, and such that I can stay warm when it comes to the winter time. And what does he see? He sees, when he's in a store, that there's a 40% sale on a fresh pair of sneakers that he would like to get, or a fresh pair of trainers. I don't know why I just said sneakers. A fresh pair of trainers that he would like to get. And instead of buying the jacket, what does he do? He buys the trainers. 40% off. He was captivated and he bought the trainers instead of the coat. And how does this, relate to our time management? I believe we do this every single day. We do this every single day with regards to, we believe and we have these beliefs of what should be important to us. We say, I really should do X amount of work. I really should do X amount of lectures. I really should respond to X amount of emails. We have a lot of leaders within our community. I really should communicate with X amount of people. But you know what? I'm going to prioritize something that perhaps is less important or should be less important. And that's sadly sometimes what happens to us each and every day. And there's a struggle, a lifetime struggle with regards to doing the things that we should do, and then doing the things that we just end up doing. And I'm going to explore that a little bit further with regards to how can we manage our time effectively. So I argued effectively that the lack of time management that we often experience is rooted in those two V's that I explained. Either a lack of vision, you just lack, your goal and where you're trying to get to, or a lack of your understanding of what truly is important, a lack of being able to prioritize, because if you can't prioritize your time, then how can you effectively manage it? So I hear you saying, okay, Jacob, you've made the diagnosis. I know exactly why, I struggle with my time, but how do I go about managing my time at medical school effectively? And I would argue with regards to this framework, not only is the diagnosis in this framework, but I'll also say that you can find the management plan, to keep with the medical lingo, you can find the management plan with regards to this. So once again, we'll come back to the two V's of effective management. And with the first V, you need to clarify your vision. You need to clarify your vision. You really need to clarify your vision. You need to write it down, and you need to make it plain. And one thing I always say when I'm talking to individuals within the community is that you need to have a vision for every single point. Have an idea of the person that you want to become. Sometimes I tell them, have a 5-year vision, have a 1-year vision, have a 3-month vision, have a 1-month vision, have a 1-week vision, have a 1-day vision, that at every single point in time, you're having an idea of the person that you want to become. I'm always telling them, have an idea of the person that you want to become before you have an idea of the things that you want to do. Have an idea of the person that you want to become before you begin to clarify the things that you want to do. So clarify the vision, really, really clarify the vision if you're really going to begin to manage your time effectively at medical school. Really begin to understand, why is it that I'm here? Why is it that I'm at medical school right now? The journey sadly is not over when you pass UCAT. The journey sadly isn't over, once you finish pre-clinicals. Why is it that I am here? Why is it that I'm on this marathon journey called medicine? And the second V is strengthen your values. Strengthen your values. And what do I mean by that? If we go back to the individual who went to Westfield and sadly bought the trainers instead of the jacket, which he needed, perhaps if he had done his research on the importance of buying a jacket, or perhaps if he had done his research on the physical health benefits of being warm in the winter, perhaps if he had done his research on the mental health benefits of being warm in the winter, maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't have bought that jacket. And what does that mean? It's not enough to know what's important to you. You need to know why that thing's important to you. Otherwise, you're going to let anything steal your time. You really, really need to know why things are important to you if you're going to strengthen your values. For example, we have individuals in our community who are prominent athletes. We have individuals in our community who are amazing bakers. We have individuals in our community who have fruitful lives outside of medicine. But if you don't know why those things are important to you, sadly, you will let anything that can get his hands on, you will let it take it away. So you really need to strengthen your values by finding your why. Strengthen your values by finding your why. So to close, I could have easily given you, like practical things with regards to, you know, getting an alarm clock, maintaining good sleep hygiene. I could have told you, you know, put your phone on silent, you know, throw your phone away. I could have told you all of these things, but I believe this will simply address the symptoms of ineffective time management. What I argued today essentially is with regards to what could be the underlying causes for our lack of time management, what could be the underlying driving factors for our lack of time management. And I hope today, essentially, if you go about clarifying your vision and strengthening your values, hopefully each and every member of our community will be the best version of themselves that they can be. So before I hand over back to Kareem and we can have a conversation and, you know, talk about any questions that anyone may have either from the community or watching, I hope to just give you a reflective exercise. You know, and in this reflective exercise, you know, every member of the TAMS community knows that I'm always making them reflect. I'm always making them think, you know. So this is the reflective exercise that I'll give to you free of charge. So I want you to write down your 3-month vision, you know. So essentially, you know, we're coming to the end of the year, what an eventful year this has been. And I want you to write down the person that you think, you know, you want to become when it comes to December, the end of December, when it comes to, you know, we're looking to the new year. What is the person that you want to become? And I want you to write down every single task that you would typically complete within a week, every single task, you know, for example, whether it be, you know, your X amount of lectures that you need to do, whether it be X amount of conditions that you need to cover, whether it be how much you train, whether it be how much, you know, videos you watch, whether it be your downtime, whether it be your up time, whether it be your sideways time, every single task that you would typically do within the week. I want you to write it down. And then I want you to evaluate each of these tasks through the lens of your 3-month vision. What do I mean by that? You know, in terms of the understanding of who you want to become, go through each and every one of these tasks that you find yourselves doing in a typical week. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with how much episodes you're watching on Netflix. And I want you to evaluate those tasks through the lens of your 3-month vision. Does this task help me become the person that I want to be at the end of the year? And hopefully through doing that, you begin to see the things that perhaps you shouldn't be doing as much and the things that you should be doing more. And I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's giving you some nuggets for time management. I'm going to hand over to Kareem to find out if there's any questions.
Wow. Wow. I must admit, Jacob, you've got me thinking about a lot of different things there. You know, in terms of your vision and values, like I was sitting there like, what's my vision? Hey, what are my values? Yeah. I'm sure many, if not everybody who was watching the video was thinking the same thing, is thinking the same thing. And we definitely have a couple questions from the community about basically, about the talk. So the first one is, let me see if I can summarize this a little bit. So I think a common theme is that a lot of us have multiple different things that we want to achieve, and multiple different aspects of our life that take our attention. So if you have, you know, different values and different visions, and like they involve a lot of different things, how do you manage to juggle them all at the same time? You know, like, because you're not willing to drop the goals, or you don't feel like you want to drop the goals. So how do you effectively find time for all of the different values that you deem to be important, I guess? How do you prioritize?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That's a great question. That is a great question. And what I would say with regards to how you go about prioritizing is, you know, one thing that we need to understand is that we are complex human beings. You know, we are all complex. And that's the one thing I love about working in TAMS and working with my fellow TAMS members, is that, you know, you're not just a one-dimensional medical student. You know, and what happens sadly is that when you get to medical school, you know, we find that a lot of previous athletes, bakers, you know, hairdressers, people who had all of these extracurricular activities that helped you get into medical school, you find that once you get into medicine, you know, you drop all of these and then you begin to define yourself as a medical student. You begin to say that, you know, I am just a medical school student, and that's all that I am. And I would say, how do you go about prioritizing, and how do you go about, you know, navigating the fact that, you know, we are so complex? And I think the first thing is understand that we are so complex. understand that you do have a variety of interests, understand that, you know, it's okay to have an interest in medicine, and it's okay to have an interest, for example, Kareem, interest in athletics, you know, or for example, other members in our community, an interest in makeup and beauty. You know, you don't need to constantly find the unifying theme. Just because you're interested in athletics doesn't mean you need to become a sports medic, you know. And that's the struggle sometimes, you know, we're constantly trying to find the red thread between all of our values. But what I would say the red thread between all of our values is the person that you are, you know, and it's firstly accepting that you are complex in your person, you know, and there's not always going to be a relating factor between the different values you have. And that's the first premise. With regards to now how you prioritize, you know, all of these competing values, all competing for your time. One thing I use is what I call my 4 tiers. And I borrowed this from Craig Guttrell. And I'll quickly read this, is having 4 tiers. And if you want to take notes, the first tier, so once you've clarified your vision in terms of the person that you want to become, you know, not necessarily the things you're going to be doing, the person that you want to become. Once you've clarified your vision, you know, there's the first tier, which is mission critical. So you get a task that is, you know, that you really want to do, or something that's been asked of you, or something that you really think that you need to do. That task is mission critical. The second tier is that is very, very important and is very strategic, but it's not necessarily mission critical. It's not necessarily critical to the mission that is at hand of what you're trying to achieve. The third tier is meaningful, but not vital to the mission. Meaningful, but not vital to the mission. And the fourth tier is externally initiated, but low priority. What does this mean? It means that, you know, what we find ourselves doing is that we often get caught up in the tasks that other people ask of us. You know, could you respond to this email? We have a lot of leaders within our community. Could you sort this out? Could you sort this out? Could you sort this out? And what you find yourself doing is that you're doing more tier 4 stuff instead of the tier 1 stuff, you know? So you find yourself caught up in all of the emails rather than caught up in the vision, rather than caught up in the person that you want to become. So I would say really clarify the person that you want to become. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to have, you know, 3-point plan, you know, I'm going to be doing X, Y, Z, but what is the person that you want to become? What is your vision? What is your mission? And then begin to work through all of those tasks. Is this mission critical, you know, or is this externally generated but low priority? And I hope that helps someone.
I think that, yeah, that's very useful actually. The 4 tiers, I think, just to link that back to what you said about, you know, causes then leading to symptoms. And it is incredibly important, like you're saying, to tackle the causes and to try and change the real reasons for why, you know, you're struggling with time management. But I think something that could also be helpful for everybody else is, you know, I guess if you look at the tree and you want the tree to be nice, you don't want the branches all to just be going off in different directions. So you want to snip it every now and then and tackle some of the symptoms, obviously, while you're working on the causes at the same time. So for when you're ranking stuff in like 4 tiers, do you think it would be good to kind of, I guess, implement some things like throwing your phone away or turning off notifications that get rid of those tier 4 distractions so that you can focus on the mission critical stuff, you know? I think, well, I basically just answered my own thing. It didn't even answer a question, but yeah, that's what I'm understanding from what you've said, basically.
Yeah, definitely. You've answered the question to a certain extent. I would say, you know, those symptoms, and with regards to those practical things, I do all of those. You know, I put my phone on silent. I don't have notifications on my phone. I only see my WhatsApp notifications when I go on WhatsApp, you know. So I do all of those things. But what I was saying was that really the priority has to be the underlying factors. But this does not mean that we shouldn't be doing the practical things to keep on top of our time, but it means that we really need to get to the nitty-gritties of the things that, you know, the reasons why we're struggling. So yeah, you're absolutely correct. We do need to be doing those things whilst we are addressing the underlying factors.
Brilliant. The next one is, obviously many of our members are in different stages of their medical school education. So for the people who are just starting out, how would you go about finding a vision? That's the question to you. How would you go about finding a vision?
Wow. Okay. So that's a really, really good question. That is a really, really good question. And what I would say, and I've said to the various first years that we have in our community, because like I said, we've got a range of medical students in the community at various stages, you know, both medical school and beyond. And what I've said to the first years is, you know, find out what's important to you, you know, find out the things that interest you, And vision, this is the thing about medical school, you know, it can often just captivate you to the point where you now think that your vision is based on your career. You now think that all you are is this one-dimensional medical student, and your vision isn't necessarily your specialty choice. You know, you can have a vision without knowing what specialty you want to go into. You know, the vision is the idea of the person that you want to become, you know, and you can only know that through, you know, fueling your passions. You know, what are the passions that you have? You know, what is it that interests you? If it's surgery, look into surgery. You know, if it's you know, a medicine and you know, the investigative sciences, you know, read journals. Do you know what I mean? Really explore it. You know, you find, you know, first years getting so caught up in the curriculum that they fail to, you know, fuel their passions. So I would say, if you really want to find out your vision, if you really want to find out the person that you want to become, you know, you need to find out your passions, look inward. And this is the one point I would say before I go. You know, there's one person that said, you know, go to the university of you, you know, study you, you know, like, find out what makes you tick, find out what makes you happy, find out what makes you passionate. So whilst you're studying medicine, study yourself, because you're the best person that can do that. So I'd offer that as well.
That one hit me. That one hit me. Hopefully that completely answers the individual's question. I'm pretty sure that covers everything. I think one last question before we wrap it up for today is, how do you think COVID has changed or will change our ability? And I guess actually this it's only fair to ask you, how do you think COVID has changed your ability to manage time?
Wow. Okay. That is a really good question. That is a really good question. Obviously, you know, like everyone continues to say, you know, we are working in unprecedented times, and we're working in uncertain times. And I would say, you know, what COVID has done with regards to, you know, the fact of self-isolation, the fact of physical distancing and all of this stuff, you know, COVID has really made people isolated, you know, in terms of, you know, physically, to the point where now you're beginning to be at face front with, you know, your lack of time management, you know, because in times before you could have crowded it with social activities, meeting other people, you know, and the fact that you was meeting other people who also struggled with time management, you know, it was, you know, we were just all having a party, you know. But I think now you are faced with the reality of the fact that, you know, I struggle. I really do struggle to manage my time. I really do get distracted with various things. And I'll say personally, it's shown me that there's always room for always room for improvement. And I would say the same for every single person. There's always going to be room for improvement. I do not by any chance stand here as a perfect person, nor do I speak from a perfect position, but I speak from a place of experience, you know, from the things that I've been able to experience and juggling the various roles and commitments that I have. You know, I've been able to say and see that, you know what, this COVID has really shown that to a certain extent, you really need to just look inward. And to a certain extent, you really need to go to the university of you. You know, I'll really hammer on that one, you know, that you need to really understand yourself, understand the things that make you less organized, understand the things that make you more organized, and understand those underlying factors. So I think, yeah, COVID has definitely brought us to the reality of the difficulties of time management, I would say.
Completely agree. I think COVID for a lot of people has forced you to, I guess, be in a situation where you're surrounded by nothing but distractions, because you don't have the normal things that you would use to distract yourself or your normal routine. So many people have found themselves getting distracted by everything. You know, what started off as simply a way to unwind is now becoming a problem, because you're always watching Netflix and you're not doing what you need to do. And, you know, you've been on your phone for like 5 hours of screen time or something like that. Not talking about myself, of course, but yes, I think that is a big problem for people. And like you said, once you do assess your vision and clarify exactly what that is, and then list out your different values, I think it will help a lot of people to get to grips with the new normal, I guess, the new normal. But yes, Jacob, this has been an absolutely incredible talk. Thank you so much. I know I, for one, have learned so much from what you've just like dropped in the last like 15-20 minutes, and I'm definitely going to go away and do the self-reflective exercise. Well, when I have time when I have time, I will do the self-reflective exercise. But yes, thank you. A short message now to everybody who's watching on the YouTube stream. If you are interested in joining our community so that you have more of a say on, you know, things that you want to learn in terms of personal development, come through. We are dropping the link. It is www.tams.community/join our community, and that will be a space for you to come and join us, basically, so that you have more of a say in terms of your own personal development, your own professional development, and that you can join the team and we can all just grow and help each other. Yes, that is it. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us today for our first ever TAMS Talk. I'm Kareem, this has been Jacob, and yes, thank you and goodbye. I hope you have a great weekend.